Chris Level here with another edition of Pirate Talk. We're going to talk to the Lady Pirates head coach Kyle Lovorn, kind of get an update on their season. They are 19-5 right now in the midst of a district race. Want to thank Texas Tech Federal Credit Union for sponsoring these podcasts again for the spring semester. We certainly appreciate those folks for doing that. And Coach, we talked to you way before the season started, and you kind of, hey, look, we're a different team. We're trying to figure out who we are. We're going to play a little bit differently. And now you're here nearly 25 games in. Kind of take me through what you've seen to this point.
Yeah,
because we're closer to the end now.
Sure, and it's been a great season so far. And we've just got just about a month left in the season, but up to this point, then. A lot of the things that we were envisioning for this team have aspired. And so, especially the style of play, the things that we had to change, do a little bit different, then the kids have really bought into that. And so it's been fun to watch. It's been a great group to coach, very low maintenance group, and they just play hard and they're fun to watch. And so, during the middle of the season, then we had a couple of injuries, and we had to tweak a few things during those few weeks. But especially as soon as we got back, those girls healthy, then we were kind of back rocking and rolling and doing some of the things that we had been doing previously to those injuries.
So take me through. Obviously you're in the midst of your 5 games into your district race now, but take me through the non-district. You went to Dallas multiple times. You had a tournament up in Canyon. But just you were well traveled. You've been to Hobbs, Mexico. You really took this team a lot of different places. Challenge your team quite a bit
for sure. And that was the intent. Being able to go over to the Metroplex and kind of see some of those teams that we might see deep in the playoffs. Being able to compete with the best around West Texas, and we had a neutral site game against Peaster, one of the top teams in 3A. Went over to New Mexico, played the number 1 team in New Mexico, and just try to battle test these girls and kind of see what we're made of. And most of the time they pass the test, and so it's been impressive to watch. A lot of question marks before the season, but a lot of those questions have been answered about this team, and so that was the intent of it, and we had a really good pre-district race, and even having to go to the Caprock tournament and kind of in the middle of district and get off district course a little bit, but and that was great for us as well. But we're back in district play now and kind of gearing up toward the last month of the season.
I want to ask you about the Caprock and all that here in a little bit, but this is the way it works? It's a kind of a non-negotiable, just the way the calendar works. But it's always tricky to me. You play some district games before and in the midst of holidays, and then it's like, okay, now we're going to go play some games that aren't. Because district is supposed to be different. That's what. If you get to the playoffs, you have to do well in your district. So is that juggling that and kind of the mindset? Is that tricky?
We had to talk to the girls about it after Christmas break. We finished the first semester at Lubbock High and went on our Christmas break and had our 5 days off, that the UIO requires us to have, and then jump back into practice and everything. But that was the first conversation we had. Was like, hey, we got this Caprock tournament coming up, and then we've got our toughest game of the season at Coronado right after that. So, hey, this Caprock tournament, it's important, it's fun, it's good for us, but let's just look at it like that. Our championship game is at Coronado that next week, and so let's use this Caprock tournament, kind of get back in the groove and the rhythm of our season, after the break. But let's use it to get ready for district the next week.
Yeah, you guys make it to the championship game of the Caprock tournament, and what a great environment. And I know that putting your kids in those kind of environments, it didn't end the way you wanted it to, but still you fought, you led a lot of that game, but you learned from those experiences.
Oh yeah, for sure. And since I've been at Cooper, something that we've kind of learned and just experienced with the Caprock tournament is if you can get your team, especially competing in that tournament, if you can get them to the championship game, and just there's no other championship game in the state of Texas in any tournament that has an environment like that. Thousands of people are there, and then for us to meet up with another Lubbock team in Monterey and and the rivalry that we've kind of got going with them, and the atmosphere, and it was just, win, lose, or draw, it's just good for your kids, and so maybe that'll pay off down the road. So I was proud of our team and how we competed that tournament, and even especially in the championship game, and just how they handled the atmosphere and the environment. And it's definitely something we can use in the future.
You mentioned playing through some injuries and things. I know Magic missed.
I think it was 5 games.
Okay, yeah, a couple of 3 weeks. What does your team glean from that and having to play without her? Is she such a big part of what you do, especially on offense?
Yeah, it was another deep conversation we had with the team. It's just like, hey, we could sit here and be upset about this. We could sit here and have kind of sulk about it and be like, oh man, like Magic's out or our leading scorer, we're going to be missing this and this on defense. But hey, how about we use this to get better? This is just an opportunity that maybe God's provided our team and some other players to step up and get better. And hopefully by the time she gets back, it just makes our whole team better. And we're better than we were before. And I feel like that's happened. And we had some girls step up and make some big plays, play some big minutes and some big games just while she was out. And I think our team grew in that little time frame.
It's next man up mentality, next girl up mentality in this case. But it's always, anytime somebody goes down, it does create opportunities for others. Sure. And sometimes players do something with it. Sometimes they don't. One that I've watched kind of blossom a little bit, and I think she's really kind of come in to her own and be kind of a playmaker at times, is Peyton North.
For sure.
And I don't know if there's a direct correlation in just, okay, my team needs me, I'm going to step up. But, and now she's kind of keeping it going, and that creates more depth and more options for you guys as a team.
Definitely. During those 5 games that she was out, then I think our team got a lot deeper. And so it's going to help us down the long run. But Peyton North's been a phenomenal player for us this year. And there's going to be some games where she's, one of our top scorers, and some games she's not, but she's always just playing hard. Yeah. She's one of our best defenders. She's executing, sets and inbounds and offense correctly. She's blocking out. She's doing a lot of things so well for this team, and she makes a big impact on the game. And she did while Magic was out, but she's still doing it. And sometimes, like I said, it's not always just being our top scorer. There can only be one of those every single game, but she's making a impact on other spots in the court.
She's feisty.
Yes.
I like it. Yeah, love her energy. Love her and Gabby, and you've got some good energy player, because you've kind of developed. You're going to press a lot. You're going to play faster. Yeah. You're going to get up a lot of threes. You're going to get up. Is there such thing as a bad shot early in a possession? Or do you flirt with that and like, what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. If we get an open look, let's take it.
Sure. Yeah. And I think this team is.
You laughed when I asked that question, because that probably is a conversation you're having with yourself.
Yeah.
In the midst of a game.
And it's something that I struggle with back in the off season and during the summer, and kind of adjusting to this style of play, because we are playing a lot faster. We are shooting a lot quicker. We're shooting more threes. It's been such a big conversation in years past, like what does shot selection look like for us? And I think our girls know their roles, and they respect each other's roles enough to know, like, hey, that's, hey, if she's taking that shot, she's got the green light to do that, and so. And so I think if you watch us, you'll see that. And so, and I think a lot of times too, even if we do take a bad shot, then our girls just move on to the next play. They have a next play mentality, and they're going to move on. And a lot of times that pace still gives us an advantage over the other team. There's a lot of teams that aren't comfortable playing fast, and
don't have the firepower.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising to see, but I've been pleased with what I've seen so far.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It makes me tired watching it, because I could tell your girl. They play hard, and you because how deep are you going in a game typically? 9, 10 deep, 11 deep.
Right now, especially since Christmas break, and we've got Magic and Riley whenever she was in, we got everybody kind of healthy, and we're using all 10 right now.
Okay, yeah,
we're using all 10.
Yeah, so again, when you're out there, play hard, because we've got people over here that can spell you. Okay, so you're in the midst of this district race right now. You're 5-0. You lead the district. Is it? You get caught up in it's just going to be Cooper, Monterey, and you mentioned that a while ago that Coronado's really good. Oh yeah. There's some teams in this district that if you're not careful, they can get you. Mm-hmm. You guys come off of a really nice win at Abilene High School earlier this week. You're going to play Abilene Wiley at home on Friday night. But kind of take me through just the district race and kind of as you see it with about a month, as you said, left to go.
For sure, yeah. Something we keep talking about, or we just keep preaching to these girls is, just going 1-0. So like our main focus is the next game, and they know, Tuesday night at Abilene High, if we approach that like it's the most important game of the season, then I think we'll be well prepared. And then once we take care of business there, then next game on Friday against Abilene Wiley, that's the most important game of this season. So let's put all of our eggs in the basket for this game, and then we'll move on after that to the next one. And so it's just like I said earlier, it's kind of next play mentality. Let's go 1-0 right now, and then let's move on to the next game after that.
You had some recruiting news before the I guess early signing date. Cal and Dallas inks with Utah Tech. Kind of take me. We've talked about that a little bit, but I want you to take me through that decision and all that. Then you have another decision that was made recently with one of your players too. But we'll get to that in a second. But Callan signs with Utah Tech. That's a long ways from home.
Yeah.
And they're now I think Division I.
It
used to be Dixie State for those that aren't familiar with it. And I think are they in the WAC?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah,
yes.
Western Athletic Conference. Used to be called Dixie State, but now they've transitioned their name to Utah Tech, but they're Division I and all that. But kind of take me through her decision.
Yeah, she
signed and
she did. Yeah, back in the fall
November,
and everything. Yeah. So, I was really proud of her just throughout the recruiting process, and I felt like she handled it pretty well, and it was a tough decision for her, and so. Being able to make a mature decision like that, move off, as far from home as Utah Tech is, I think says a lot about her and her character and where she's at in her life right now. Utah Tech shoots a lot of threes. And so she was recruited exactly for that, and she's a great three-point shooter, very efficient from the three-point line. And so she's excited about it. She's excited about the team, the school, the program, just their style of play and how she fits with that. And so I'm glad that she kind of took care of that before the season, and it's really settled her mind, and she hadn't had to worry about it at all. She could relax and play her senior year, and so she's gonna do well there.
And we've talked about Callan, but you also had another player, obviously, in Magic Esquivel that recently made her decision, and she's going to stay nearby at Angelo State. There's some background there, but I think it's interesting because she's just a junior. This is fairly early in her process, which I think in some ways is good for her, good for you, good for just kind of take me through that.
Yeah. So before Magic got to Lubbock-Cooper, she had come from Plainview, and Wayland Baptist is where Alicia Ellis had been coaching. And so over the years, she had built a good relationship with Alicia. And then once she moved on to Angelo State, then, they still stayed connected. And it's just, that's been on her radar for the last few years. And so I'm really, really happy for her. And whenever she told me that she was going to commit there, I was pumped for her just because, I knew that was going to be a good fit. That's who she's been, building a relationship with, as far as colleges go the most. And she went on her official visit, recently and made the commitment to go there. And I'm pumped for her, especially since she's a junior. She can kind of get that off of her plate and not have to worry about it during the summer and next year as a senior.
And she's somebody that is going to provide somebody with instant offense and all that, and it's just fun to get those decisions out of the way because I don't think people understand that for these kids it's stressful.
It is.
Am I gonna play? Am I gonna get an opportunity to play? Where is it gonna be? Is the coach that's recruiting me still gonna be at the school? All kinds of dynamics. And so I was pleased to see because I wasn't expecting it at the time that it came out. Just kind of got dropped in there in the middle of the season and all those things. But good for her. Let's talk before we let you get out of here. Let's talk about some of the other players on your team and just kind of like the glue and the roles and all that. We've talked about Carly Crunk. You hope to have a role. We know about Gabby is such a good rebounder and Taylor Bullen, but kind of take me through some of those. We talk about Carissa and Callan and Magic and people like that a lot, and rightfully so. But it's some of those other players that are really doing a good job for you.
Definitely. I think great teams have great balance, and so I feel like we have that on this team, and like you said, you mentioned a lot of our leading scorers and the ones that maybe get the most recognition on our team, but we would not be a great team without some of these role players. And whenever you look out there and you see like Gabby Contreras, who isn't putting up a lot of points, but is just blocking out like crazy. She's an athletic defender. She's versatile. She makes an impact on the court, whether it's on the stat sheet or not. And her backup coming off the bench, Carly Crunk. I mean, they both play pretty close to the same amount of minutes, and they both have similar roles. They're different types of players. Carly's down there is probably the most physical post defender that I've seen in a long time, and she's got a knack for rebounding. She's like a Dennis Rodman rebounder out there. It's incredible to watch, and she's not even that tall.
Just like her dad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she leads our team in charges. She'll step in front of anybody and take a charge. Somebody that's really coming into her role right now, especially as of lately, is Taylor Bone. She's an energy player for us. She comes off the bench, sparks us all the time.
Now, her dad, I don't think her dad's willing to take a charge. I'm just going to say that. Just kidding, Matt.
She comes in off the bench and sparks us all the time. She, the other day against Abilene High, she was knocking down shots. She was running the floor. She was, scoring quite a bit for us. But she's an active defender. She's probably about 5'6", and she's not very tall, but she's in there with those big girls all the time, crashing the boards, blocking out, just a high energy player for us. And so, yeah, some of those role players, they're just, a huge part of our team. Everybody on our team has a different role. Some are bigger than others, but they're all important. We need them all. And so I think they've really bought into that.
I'm a big in basketball, maybe this is in play more than any other sport, but I'm a big body language guy, and I really like watching the body language of some of the players you're talking about here, because they're not frazzled, they're not that being emotional is wrong, but they just seem like calm and like kind of feisty and energetic in the right way. And I think it's that's fun to watch, especially when you're playing as many as you are and you're playing as up tempo as you are. It's easy to get rattled or frazzled or whatever, because there's so many different things happening so quickly.
And somebody else that I've been impressed with is our freshman Abby Dallas. She's been our backup point guard. Callan's little sister, and same thing. She's just been a steady C for us just throughout the season, because Carissa Cortez is a phenomenal point guard for us, but whenever Abby gets in and she's having to handle the ball, she does a great job. She'll knock down a shot once a game. She's also having to battle in there. She's our second tallest player. She's in there with the big girls as well.
It's a tall point guard.
Yeah, and she brings a lot of energy off the bench. Her and especially like Landry Erickson, like there's no bigger cheerleader. Whenever there's girls out there, making big plays, you'll see Landry swinging the towel over her head off the bench. She's the first one to go help somebody off the floor, and Abby as well. We have some phenomenal role players, and so I've been proud of this team of how they've accepted that.
Yeah. Okay, so big one versus Abilene Wiley at home on Friday night, and then kind of away you go, but you can start to see the end of it, and you start to see district standings and kind of how this is. Do you pay attention to that stuff before I let you get out of here? Do you pay attention to that stuff, or is it you just kind of one game at a time, kind of play? Let's just see how this thing goes.
Sure. Me as a coach, I pay attention to that. That's my job, so I do. But
good for telling the truth, because I know everybody does. Maybe you don't want your team to be focused on all that stuff.
And we don't want the girls to have to think about that at all. But at the same time, it's from year to year, you kind of have to gauge like how mature your team is. So as we do get closer to the end of district and closer to the playoffs, what does that look like for us? And so, it impacts, the game that we're playing in currently. And so, we'll have some of those conversations. A lot of times high school girls and athletes, they don't know how the UIL sets up districts. They don't know how the playoffs work and the seeding. It's not based on rankings and anything like that, you know what I mean? So it's preset. The seedings are preset. And so I think it's good for them to understand that. They might be aware of who we play the first round of the playoffs, but, they don't know that we're going to be playing an El Paso team after that. And then we might see somebody else from, around here. And then, regional tournament, it's going to be somebody from the Metroplex. And they don't know how that's set up. And so it's important for them to understand and have those conversations. But really, that's my job. Right now we're just focused on Abilene Wiley.
There you go. That's well. Enjoyed the update. Keep rolling. Stay healthy. keep taking them one game at a time. And, good luck. Happy New Year to everybody. And thanks for being out there. And you can follow Kyle's program on, at LCP Girls B-Ball,
Yes,
right?
sir.
On Twitter.
Yes, sir.
And we're on the Gram.
On the gram.
And we're on the Book of Faces, Facebook. So all the social media right there. But that's been another edition of Pirate Talk. This is Chris Level. That's Kyle Lovorn. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.